All right.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Good morning. This is my story. No matter where we come from, how long we've been alive, or where we're from, we all have a story. And so I'm hoping just briefly to share about myself, just where I'm from, my experience in life, although I'm 24 years old. I know that doesn't count for a lot of experience, but hopefully this will just give you some information about myself. So, my story. I'm originally from Oklahoma. Grew up in a little town south of Tulsa called Preston. It's just north of Okmulgee. There are 800 people there, maybe. And I graduated with a class of 33. But before I was in high school at Preston, I actually went to a little small town country school called Twin Hills. So from kindergarten to 8th grade, I was there. And the word I would use to describe myself in that phase of life was I was respectful. I was the good kid. Didn't get in a lot of trouble. I could probably count on this hand how many swats I received from kindergarten through 8th grade. And I was always the best student in class. I never made 1B or C or D or anything below that. I always had A's in class. So those first, I would say 13 years of my life, I was respectful. My parents and the people in my life raised me to be respectful. Then I went into high school at Preston. And while I still maintained some of those qualities in my life of being respectful, I was still the good student in class, was a valedictorian in my graduating class. The word that I've come up to describe myself in that time, I was very rebellious. Although I went to church and people still saw me as the good old boy that everyone else should be like, I very much neglected my family. I was in various relationships, friendships with people, a very unhealthy relationship with a girl in my high school, but I rebelled against all of those things. I was out for me, was very single-minded and selfish. My days consisted of probably at least 3 hours a day devoted to baseball. And when I wasn't playing baseball or practicing for baseball, I was with my girlfriend. And then if I wasn't doing one of those two things, I was doing anything I could to stay away from home. So I went from being respectful to very rebellious. And that was the mindset I took into college. I'm an OU graduate. I guess this is where I'm supposed to say boomer. I'm going to. And my first year was very, very difficult in Norman. It was the biggest city I'd ever lived in, and it was the biggest transition I'd ever made in my life. I went from being a town of 800 people to a campus of sometimes 20,000, 25,000 people. My first semester was a wreck. I wanted to go home. I feel like I battled with some depression there, but the Lord was very gracious to me. And the word that I've come up with to describe from that time till now is I'm redeemed, I'm rescued. My story has been given another opportunity to be changed. And just through different events that happened, the 4 or 5 years that I spent in Norman, they've brought me here. I'm a student at the seminary, and I'm preparing for whatever ministry the Lord has for me in life. I don't know what that is, but because I'm redeemed, now I'm rescued. My story has been lifted, and I've been given an opportunity to change that. That's why I'm here. I can honestly say I wouldn't be a part of this club if those things had not happened in my life. So, my story, I went from respectful to rebellious to redeemed to rescued. And I encourage all of you in this next week, the next month, to really reflect on what is your story. You may be like me, and there may be some things that you're not proud of, and that's okay. But we're all very young, I would say. We have health. We don't have a lot of things that are pulling at us. And so I encourage you to think about your own story and think about what are some things I can change. What am I living my life for? So thank you very much for your time, and I just hope this has given you a little information about who I am. Thank you.